The arena lights blinked red. Alarms blared across the stadium. A booming mechanical voice echoed, "Max threat detected." The crowd gasped. The strongest combatants from across the galaxy had gathered. Each had fought countless battles. Each had conquered monsters, machines, and armies. And now, all attention turned to one contender. She walked in, slowly, calmly, hands clasping something that seemed ordinary, something utterly human, something completely unimpressive. It was homework. The crowd froze. The announcer stammered, "TH, the human. She carries homework." The arena had seen killers who could crush planets, warriors who could split suns, but none had entered carrying a folder of papers, pencils sticking out. None had brought notebooks instead of weapons. The girl adjusted her glasses. She looked around at the towering opponents. Some had 6 arms, others had scales harder than titanium. One even had energy blades floating around its body, humming with lethal intent. She yawned. The mechanical voice repeated, "Max threat confirmed." Confused murmurs rippled through the stadium. A reporter floating above the arena whispered to his holocam, "I don't get it. She's a human kid. Probably 12, maybe 13. She has homework." A sudden explosion cut him off. One of the alien combatants had lunged. It moved like lightning, claws extended, teeth bared. The human girl didn't flinch. She opened her notebook. She wrote something. The alien paused, confused. The notebook glowed. Numbers, formulas, and diagrams lifted off the page like holograms. They swirled around her like a storm. The alien tried to attack again. A shimmering shield appeared around her, calculated angles. Perfect timing. Each attack deflected, each energy strike absorbed. The crowd erupted, not in fear, but in awe. "How?" muttered a 4-armed gladiator from the outer rim. "She's using homework." The girl closed her notebook. She walked forward, each step calculated, each movement precise. Her pencil twirled in her fingers, not as a weapon, but as a tool. A massive alien charged. Its armor gleamed with deadly light. It swung a warhammer big enough to crush a small building. She pointed her pencil. She muttered a few words. Calculations appeared mid-air. The hammer froze, suspended in perfect balance. Gravity, force, momentum all accounted for. Then, with a flick of her pencil, it spun harmlessly into the air and landed in the arena sand. The crowd roared. Not one human had ever entered this arena. Not one had lasted more than a few seconds. And here she was, stopping attacks without even touching her enemies. The next wave came, faster, deadlier. Some combatants some unleashed fire, some unleashed ice storms, some sang in frequencies that could shatter eardrums. She solved equations. She drew diagrams. She turned energy into vectors, vectors into shields, shields into traps. One by one, her enemies fell, not with brute force, but with pure human ingenuity. The announcer's voice quivered. This is impossible. No human should be," she smiled faintly. "Homework is never useless," she said. The alien champions grew desperate. They attacked in coordination, combining powers no one had survived before. One unleashed a laser storm. Another created a gravitational whirlpool. Another summoned monsters from the shadow dimension. She clutched her notebook tighter. Numbers danced around her like fireflies. Patterns emerged. Paths became clear. Probabilities calculated. Every possible outcome considered. Then she acted. In one motion, she wrote an equation on the arena floor. It glowed bright white. Energy arcs formed around the letters and numbers. The gravitational whirlpool collapsed into itself. Lasers bent harmlessly around her. Monsters froze, suspended mid-air, unable to move. She opened her notebook. Pages fluttered. Each page carried a spell of logic, each equation a tactical strike. She flipped through them rapidly, like a symphony conductor. The remaining combatants screamed, not in pain, but in disbelief. They had trained for centuries. They had weapons forged in the heart of dying stars. And yet, they were trapped by a human carrying homework. The final opponent approached, a giant being twice the size of the arena itself. Its voice thundered. "I am Zorath, the devourer of worlds. I will crush you, puny human." She looked up. She nodded politely. Homework first, then fighting. She opened her notebook. This time, she wrote a single line, a simple formula, a calculation. Then she closed it. Zorath charged. The arena shook. Energy exploded. Fire burned. Sand flew. Then, nothing. Zorath froze. His massive arms locked in place. His body rigid as stone. His energy faded. His roar turned into a whimper. The girl stepped forward, pencil in hand. She scribbled a final note. Zorath fell to his knees, then to the ground, motionless. The mechanical voice rang again. Max threat neutralized. The crowd erupted in cheers. Not for violence, but for brilliance. Not for strength, but for the sheer audacity of human intellect. The girl walked to the arena exit. She adjusted her backpack. "Don't forget to submit this by tomorrow," she muttered. The announcer floated beside her. "Wait, what?" She glanced at him. "Homework," she said simply. Then she left. Outside, reporters swarmed. They asked questions. Scientists begged her to explain. Warriors from across galaxies offered her alliances, weapons, treasures. She shook her head. "I'm just doing my homework." News of her victory spread. Humans, long underestimated, suddenly became legends. Not because of raw power, but because of their creativity, intelligence, and stubbornness. Planets recalculated their defenses. Empires reconsidered their strategies. The galaxy learned one simple lesson. Underestimate a human, and you might lose more than a battle. Months later, she returned to her school. She handed in her math homework. The teacher frowned. "You had an arena battle." "Uh-huh," she said. "And I used algebra. Don't forget to grade it." The universe didn't notice, but a single star system whispered, "Humans are dangerous." And they were right. She had entered the arena carrying homework. She had left the galaxy changed forever. Asterisk.